What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. You can also find me at Blue Sky in some of those places.
With Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects that you have heard so loudly and clearly come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings. We're a couple of days late, but because you know, for a good reason, right? And we talked about it before. We went on movie protocol, so here we are, getting ready to talk about some movie stuff.
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
Let's see. Oh wait, there is something here.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Indeed. And yes, before that, though, you can find this here podcast on the Coastal the Podcast Network. That's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You got also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indeed. So yeah, we were on movie protocol this week because there's some, number one super guy movie came out, and not Hong Kong Phooey, sadly. Actually, that's probably good because now that I think about it, they were actually trying to do a live action Hong Kong Phooey movie, so that was probably for the best. But no, we're talking about the Man of Steel, aka Superman. So
Our man Clark.
Yes. And basically, they kind of hit the ground running on this one in a way, because slight spoiler and slight not really spoiler. Hey, guess what? You know that stuff that came out in the trailer? That pretty much was the start of the movie, which actually was probably a good thing, because like normally it's like, okay, blah, 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 this trailer's going to spoil this and that and other for the middle of the thing. Like, now they kind of get a lot of that, or some of it out of the way early on. Like, there is some stuff that still kind of pops in during the course of the movie, but it's like, okay, sure. And what I thought was weird with the way it started off, not to get too spoiler with it, there was some data points that they chose to start off with. And apparently, I'm sure there's probably something else to it, but apparently James Gunn must really like the number 3.
It's magic number.
Indeed. So shout out to De La.
What it is. And Sesame Street.
Sesame Street, but in relation to what you were just saying.
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously it comes from both. I will tell you that a lot of the first parts of the movie are revealed in the trailer. A lot of them. Right. Mm-hmm. So the various trailers. We've talked about it before on the show, where, once I've seen 2 trailers of generally the 3 trailers that come out in the cycle of the promotion of a movie, once I've seen the first 2, I try to stay away from the third one, because that third one's going to include probably just a touch too much spoilers, right? Just enough information for me to, just enough information to take away from my enjoyment of the movie, right? Mm-hmm. In this case, I don't recall seeing the third trailer, and I'm okay with that, because I feel like the first 2 trailers that I saw filled me in on most of what I needed to know, and really let me into what Gunn was going to do with like maybe the first 1/3 of the movie.
Mhm.
You know, there are a lot of kind of general plot ideas that the first third of the movie is covered by the trailer, and I think that's fine. Right, there are plenty of twists that I did not expect coming, and I was kind of, I was pretty much pleasantly surprised by this movie. I like the tone of the movie. I like the overall plan that Lex Luthor puts into effect to try to take down Big Blue, because we all know that Superman's literally one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. So how do you combat that? How do you hurt him? How do you make him bleed, right? And they find ways to do it. There are a couple of scenes that I just did not like how they pulled them off. There's some let's call it super science shenanigans here that I just did not like how they resolved it during the movie. And there was this one, let's call it an unmasking, and I swear I did not mention this in our pre-production meeting, but I had talked about this with my friends who I went to the movie with, and on the way home we were like kind of talking about it like on the subway and whatnot. And there was one scene in particular, and Roddykat may recognize this, and this is only the mildest spoiler, but you have to have some Marvel Cinematic Universe knowledge to get this one. There's an unmasking, and I swear I was this close to heckling the movie and saying out loud, "Bucky," when it happened. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be that jerk face in the theater that says something out loud that, a bunch of people may or may not laugh at, some people may be annoyed at. I'm just going to keep it to myself and say it to my friends afterwards. But when I said that, they were like, oh yeah, that definitely had some, there was some feeling of that kind of, or that being reminiscent of the Bucky unmasking in the Winter Soldier.
So I can safely say that I did not initially go there. In fact, I went to a totally different place. I went to Return of the Jedi. In a way. Because...
Right, but if you think about it, given the hair that's involved the way the character turns to the camera, and I'm like, oh my god, Bucky.
Well, I'm with you, but what I'm saying is, right. You're kind of on point, but at the same time, like I went to Star Wars because of a different type of unmasking, but also who ended up being the quote unquote, because especially with that hair, he kind of did look like Anakin to me.
Okay.
With his hair like that, I was like, oh wait. Oh, then I had to like, wait, no, it's XYZ. And
I see what you mean. Like I was reading a little bit. I was reading what you were saying a little bit differently.
Right.
But I get it now.
Right. But I'm definitely with you with what you're saying. But yeah, like I said, I didn't initially go there because it's like, oh, okay, weird. But the funny part about it was, it's like I was just kind of waiting for it in a way, because let's just say something happens at the beginning of the movie, and my wife, I went with my wife, and after the movie was over, she was like, I didn't know. It was like, yeah, I was kind of wondering how they did that until the thing got spelled out. I was like,
right,
oh.
I was about to say they definitely use some exposition to explain that.
Right, but at the same time, I was like, okay, knowing. But this is kind of where kind of having some sort of comic book knowledge kind of comes into play, because it's like, okay, X doesn't happen unless Y happens, so therefore that has to be the case. So I was like, okay, I was just gonna sitting here waiting for them to kind of put that out there, and it happened in succession. But it was like, okay, of course, and we know a certain thing has happened in the comic books to where we have let's just say other superpowered beings coming into play, especially one that may or may not come into play with a cameo at the end.
Right.
If that happens. I don't know. Because I don't think it might not, because I don't, like I said, I'm not sure the story they're taking of. I haven't read it. But regardless, but yeah, that was just kind of like, okay, yeah, they did that. That being said, though, I guess that turns the corner into kind of some of the nitpicky things that kind of bothered me about the movie.
Sure. Go ahead, because I talked about one of my biggest gripes, which is kind of a nitpick. So, in our pre-production meeting. So I'll let you take the lead on this, and I'll jump in.
Yeah. So, again, like I said, nitpicks. One, Kendra. Well, Kendra was actually cute. I mean, excuse me, she was cute, but that wasn't the whole thing. But the way they kind of did the Hawk Girl thing, which that's in the trailer, so it's not like spoilers. That Hawk Girl's not in it. I'm sitting here like, at a certain part, she ended up doing a thing, making a sound, and I'm like, I don't think they've ever done that like that. And I'm like, they're like taking things kind of literal with her name, and I'm like, okay, one, that's a nitpick. Kind of partially, Mr. Terrific's characterization kind of bothered me slightly, but I don't really know. Slightly,
I thought he was like the best part of the movie.
I'm not saying he wasn't good, but there was just something about it that still kind of nitpicked on that kind of nitpicked.
Right. So have they all? So I'm not that familiar with this version of the character, right?
Because this is even different from. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What I was going to ask is, I'd always interpreted his character right now as we read comic books as being one of those. It might even be a stereotype. The characters who are too smart for their own good and are just a touch out of touch with how they talk to other people, and might actually bend towards the haughty or like a little bit nose in the air type thing. And I got that. So that's so I want to say that was my understanding of the character going in, and I thought they pulled that off very well.
Yes, but also
I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. That's a minor spoiler.
That was the part that was like, okay, that's a little much, because I'm with you on that, and even with the current comic book that's based on him, right now, it's still kind of that way. So that was never as far as I could, even in like animated versions of it, which I don't recall there being too many of, but we have seen him. He was like, no, I'm just a smart person saying smart things, this and that and the other, and that part was never the case. So it was like, okay, now they just kind of went in a kind of another side direction with that. But that being said, that was kind of a nitpick. I think you and I kind of shared a nitpick in that the cameo at the end of what we know is that what is already out there till we know to come. But still, yeah, that was like, okay, so we're basically getting Madison with a Y. And that's kind of might be a slight spoiler, but
Right. You know what? It's a slightly different take, but it's not the family member who's actually a foe, but that may end up being the plot line too, because so here's the thing, right? Two things that I wanted to touch on with regards to, some of these nitpicks. So, we talked about the Mr. Terrific nitpick, but I know I'm going to be paraphrasing when I do something now. I'm going to be like, I'm goddamn Agent _70, but I feel like a plot point was mimicked or basically lifted from My Adventures with Superman, in this. And, you know, obviously, full disclosure, I'm not that familiar with all of the Superman comics that have come out and done maybe a little bit of retconning to Clark's origin, you know, since I was a kid, right? Like I probably read only a little bit of Byrne's Superman, you know, when he rebooted everything. I probably only read, you know, like you know, bits and pieces of like Death of Superman, and then post that in like the mid 90s, you know, when he went electric blue. I read some of that stuff, but when it comes down to it, you know, there's a particular canon change in the Superman corner of the universe that I'm not sure if that's how we're going to be moving forward with the origin of Superman.
So yeah,
right. And I was kind of like, no, just to finish the point. Hold on to your thought.
Sure.
Just to finish the point. And I thought that ruined that particular twist to me because I had just seen it in my adventures with Superman. That's my perspective. That's it.
Okay, so yeah, we had this conversation before the show, and I kind of agree with him, but even though he kept making the point, I was like, yeah, I agree with you that, but this is not a problem. And both of us, like he said, you know, and I have to go along with him. It's like, yeah, I'm not that familiar with enough of Superman to know whether this actually came up anywhere also outside of where he just mentioned. And what I'm about to mention, Dragon Ball, because it was also a thing that happened that kind of came up there as well. And yeah, and also kind of counts as kind of nitpick, but also not as, you know, I was like, just like I told Agent 7 before, so like, there's nothing new under the sun. So it's like, I wasn't that, yes, it was kind of annoying, but I wasn't that bothered with it. And I'm not saying he was either, but, you know, and I'm not speaking for him either, but it's like, yeah, okay, sure. That's a thing that they use. But like I said, even if you checked out my social media when I said we were going on movie protocol, I kind of hinted to it because it was like right after, or not too far after I had gotten out of the movie when I posted that. So there was a point that was made to the GIF that was being used at that time. That being said, let me see, what was another picture? Oh, basically what I said, and I told this to the person that I talked to at my comic book shop, and I was meant to tell 8 to 70, but actually no, I did say it. So there is a lot of Sean Gunn was in the movie because that's part of James Gunn's is you know, that's his bingo.
That's family, damn it.
Yeah. But as I said, it's pretty much a James Gunn movie, and it has pretty much a lot of the same trappings of any of the other James Gunn comic.
Even Guardians of the Galaxy made lots of appearances.
Especially Guardians of the Galaxy, which was the point. Because apparently, yeah, well, and he said he was going to use some of the people there, and he did, because, you know, there were some people that were, if you look at the credits, you know, popped up.
Well, I mean, I was about to say, like, Rocket in human form showed up as Jor-El, spoiler alert.
Right. And Mantis in voice form.
Yes.
So yeah, like I said, which, like I said, it already been said that he was going to be, you know, getting folks from this. And again, that's kind of a thing he does. I mean, he's not the only one that does that, and what it is, what it's not. But but back to the point, like to the music choices, like, yeah, this is kind of to him actually writing some of the music, to the way certain scenes kind of played out and the injected humor in it. You know, this is pretty much a whole thing. Is that a knock on a movie? That depends on whether you like, you know, if you want to continue to like that or not. It was like, okay, yeah, so it just kind of made it just, all right, yeah, this is kind of just like all of his other movies as far as right. the way he does it. That being said, Agent 70 brought up a point that I kind of agree with before the show. But also I wanted to add something, but I'm going to let him make the point of it, in that he liked the way that they found a way to deal with or at least the plot to try to deal with Superman.
Right.
You know, the way the way they handled that. So I don't know if you want to expound on that.
Well, I mean, my point being was that, you know, they definitely were hitting him, and I might even expand upon it, because they were hitting him in multiple ways, in multiple facets, in multiple places. So he can't be everywhere all at once, despite the super speed, right? And you know, he can only do so much in each locale. He can only be so many places almost at the same time. And I really like that he had to make choices. And that's how you get at someone who is so overwhelmingly powerful, right? And you know, I really like that part. I really like that. You know, the most of the plans in place were really solid. Obviously, you know, we get to Luthor knocking a few screws loose, and you know, things not going all the way to plan, right? Like everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? You know, that's what Mike Tyson said. So
Yes.
so in this case, you know, Luthor's plans, you know, do unravel, but it takes a while, and it takes a lot of doing and a lot of choosing to, one, ask for help, two, you know, like make a triage, you know, make a priority call, and figure out what needs to be addressed first. And you know, that's really the key to how you know, it's kind of to how Superman ultimately ends up, you know, spoiler alert, coming out on top in this movie, right? There's a lot of factors in play. It's not just you know, his you know, like his spare superpowers coming into play. You know, I call them spare because, for goodness sake, he's got them all.
And speaking of being you know, hit in the head, there was also a slight. There was another, well, two things. There was an MCU moment that kind of got done here with two characters. One being Luthor, the other being the very good boy that shows up during the course of this. And I was like, okay, that's pretty much straight up out of it. Well, not straight up, but that's kind of, in a certain way, out of Avengers. And I'm like, you're not slick with that either. You're doing that, but you are very much not slick. But also, but basically, back to the plans in general. They were basically plans that you could see. Let's just say, have potential, has actually kind of real world parallels to, in the use of, because like, how do you know, do a thing to somebody who can't get touched? You hit them publicly. In the use of certain medias, and
right.
And that was kind of things like, yeah, we've seen this in we've seen this in the real world, we've seen this in comics, we've seen this in you know, and then I was like, okay, so that part in itself was actually pretty interestingly done, but at the same time, that kind of goes into one of my nitpicks, which is like, wow, they kind of leaned into the kind of the parallels, which was intentional. And he did say that, yeah, James Gunn did say, like, yeah, this is a story about X, Y, and Z. And even we got an article that'll talk about that later on. So it's like, all right, you're kind of playing a lot into that for, I suppose you thought good reasons, and probably were good reasons to do that, you know? And it works for the movie, but at the same time, it's like, all right, yeah. There seemed to be a point to be made in the messaging of this movie that also parallels kind of real world goings on right now, which is a good thing, but also feels like pandering. And maybe it's because of how I feel about James Gunn, and so I'm ready to be wrong about that if that's the case. But it just kind of feels like, all right, I see what you're doing there. But go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, just a few, you know, minor nitpicks. Like I wasn't thrilled. I'm not that familiar with the engineer character, but I wasn't thrilled with what they did with her and the way they wrote her. pretty much a one-note villain, which is disappointing because I understand this character has been around for a while, was a Wildstorm character to begin with, and then was integrated into the DC universe, and I get that. So essentially, it's practically speaking, it's a relatively blank slate of a character, but they still didn't do a lot with her. So when you go in and watch it, you won't be surprised to see that it's a pretty blank slate of a character that, spoiler alert, may be developed in future films. We'll see. But but I was pretty disappointed in that we did not get too much of character growth or character explanation with the engineer. Let me see, what else did I kind of nitpick? We could have used a little bit more of the Daily Planet staff, but it seems like we got a lot of Jimmy and a lot of Lois, right? So maybe we got just enough of the Daily Planet staff.
And some jiggling of cat.
Works for me. But I said it. I said it. But yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, there's a couple of little side bits with the Daily Planet staff, but there's not much there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we do get plenty of Jimmy, and we get plenty of Lois. Jimmy for whatever reason is, or it plays a pretty vital role, in getting information in the story. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's also another character so we knew this was going to be busy, and you've seen the trailers, so you've seen the other DC characters that show up in this, and they do get used in this for whatever. And clearly, all of this is being, we already know other projects that are going to at least involve one of them coming up. There's one character that character in quotes that shows up in this that I kind of wish they'd done a little bit more too, but also, because we kind of get a moment like this.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Without them actually doing it, but it was kind of, and I don't know if even that was intentional or if that was just, us being, who we know about the animated versions of it and seeing that and whatnot. But at the same time, like, man, would have been nice to see. We see pretty much what that was, but we also see, like, okay, you could do a little bit more than this. And I kind of expected them to kind of go with that at the end, which, by the way, hey, there's a post credit and an end credit scene. So if just in case you watch this and haven't seen it yet, you might want to stick around for.
Right. So you can kind of tell that this Superman movie is not the forming of the Justice League / Avengers, right? Mm-hmm. But it's an early iteration of it. Right. It's there's still some characters left to be introduced or reintroduced into the Gunn DC universe, where, that's going to constitute the ultimate final order, where, we've gotten a bit of a jump start to it. Like, it's not each character getting their own movie the way Marvel did it, but we're getting one of the big characters and a bunch of smaller characters getting together in one movie with a few more big characters possibly set up, right? Mm-hmm. And those characters would logically pull together, like band together to become a Justice League. So I see that as the potential blueprint or the layout for this particular plan. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, and this was exactly why, the other reason why I said they were hitting the ground running with this, because I guess the babysitter was like, you know what, you kind of already know, but you might not know a couple of these characters, especially the choice of the one, but you can kind of know, you might, if you have enough knowledge, know what they're aligned with. So we don't really give, they don't really give you too much backstory into, they give you like little bits and pieces, but they don't give you a whole lot, which is fine. But it was like I said, if you know enough about the comics and the characters, you kind of know that. But if you don't, you may or may not care, but you also be like, okay, well, hey, clearly this is a world where all of these people are around. So therefore, all right, cool. I assume you expect to see more, which I guess it was probably another nitpick, but also probably just as well because they already had a whole bunch of people in it. Because it's the same nitpick that you would have in any movie like this, in that. So when a thing this big happens, like, yes, it is the focal point of the hero that is the main focal point of the thing, but also there are other people, other heroes probably around that place, and none of them showed up outside of the ones that we, that are around, So it's kind of, but you have to kind of take that out of the picture because obviously, all these superheroes are going to have something like that.
Because the DC universe is not our universe, so it's not exactly like the Marvel universe where everybody's in New York City. So, if something's happening, like, why doesn't everybody show up en masse and, take out the bad guy? But at the end of the day, I get that. We do have some of that here in this movie.
Right.
So I mean, but bottom line is this something that you would recommend to people? Is this movie that would this movie be something that you recommend to people? I would with like a couple of caveats, right? A couple of caveats, and we are familiar with the character in some ways and unfamiliar with the character in other ways. I think that's the only balance that you can strike. So most people are going to be familiar with the character from, if not the Donner movies, they'll be familiar with the Snyder version, or they'll be familiar with the television version. At some point, they've run across this character, so I think this is a pretty good reintroduction to the character and this version of the mythos. That's what I would tell them.
So I guess it would be yes. So my heart says no, but also but thinking about it, and something I told you earlier, I would say yes, but because, case in point, I took my wife to this movie who, she has seen a couple of superhero movies. She knows of the character, just like you said, so she does have some knowledge, but she doesn't know the ins and outs of comic books or whatever. Now she enjoyed it. She enjoyed it a lot. I think she might have had a nitpick about something, but I can't remember what it is at the point. But yeah, for the most part, like, she just thoroughly enjoyed it. She was enjoying a lot of it. So that being said, if you're in kind of that situation, and it's functionally a good movie, if you've seen James Gunn's other superhero movies, you will see some familiar grounds if you were paying attention to them. And given that this is the start of the James Gunn's DC universe, hey, it's gonna be a good watch to kind of see where stuff may or may not point from with later projects, if you are interested in that kind of thing. But functionally, as a Superman movie, it's okay.
I don't know.
It's all right.
To me, it was a better Mr. Terrific movie, but it's like circles.
Oh,
they're 3-dimensional.
Okay, now admittedly,
that's a minor spoiler, folks. But I really got a kick out of that because the character that he's speaking to in that particular instance is not an idiot, right? But is definitely out of that particular character's regular element, right? And obviously, you can be, that character can be forgiven for not connecting what in reality she's talking about, and mistakenly characterizing them as 2-dimensional. Like, that's a really complicated way of dancing around the spoiler that I wanted to just drop. But, when you watch it, you'll understand what I mean.
But also going on with something he just said, and not to be too spoiler friendly, there is another character that also has some interaction with his spheres in a way that wasn't too taken kindly upon by the character. Those parts were all right. I didn't have too much of a problem with it, but it also still kind of lends to my nitpicks in that. That being said, because I was going to say something, and I don't remember what it is now, so it probably it wasn't that better. Yeah, functionally a good movie. Like I said, it's definitely a James Gunn movie. It's a to whatever the start it is, we got what we got, and there's a tentative cheer. I would recommend it, but I know there's part of me it was like I didn't like it. Like I kind of have to take myself out of it, I guess, in order to say what I have to say. Because part of me is like, it is a good movie, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. Part of it just kind of took some things out of me for probably more than the nitpicks.
Sure. Listen, like I mentioned, in our pre-production meeting, and I think I mentioned it during this discussion of the movie, they come up with this fix for a really bad problem, a really bad sci-fi problem, and it took me straight out of my suspension of disbelief because in the movie theater, I yelled out, "What the?" I'm like, what? That's how they fixed it? So,
I just kind of waved that away. It's like, you know what, comic books, we shouldn't have.
I guess.
But no, how you feeling about it? I absolutely get that. so it's valid. That was the point. I just remembered the point I was going to make, and then we can finally move on because we've taken way too much time on this. But
sure,
I think I talked about on this show about when we watched the trailer about the parents, and at the time I was like, I wasn't feeling it too much, but it was also a trailer, so kind of take that for what it is. I've slightly come around to it, but also at the same time, it's like I'm still kind of, That was an interesting choice as to how they played the characters. But actually, the good part about it is like, hey, guess what? They're in a place called Smallville, so these are not like big city folks. These, to the ground, down home folks, and they pretty much played that the whole way through. So in that respect, okay, they did what most of the other Superman movies kind of didn't do.
Yeah, not Kevin Costner and Diane Lane, because they're just not, they're not farmer. They're not farmer types.
Right. I wasn't calling out anybody specific, but yes, there you go.
I'm calling out specific people.
But that makes
shots fired.
But that makes the point, though, because it's like, any other iteration of Ma and Pa Kent kind of played like these people don't seem like that much, rural folks. And this, as in relation to that, is probably the best version because of that, but it also still seems weirdly disconnected to me because of that. So, like that. But that was Superman. This is what we got. It's out there, folks. Catch it. Oh, there was another part that actually I still hadn't figured out. And now I can actually talk about this part. So there was a part in the trailer where we see Superman flying. And it looks weird. That's the best way I can explain it. Because like you see him and you see the camera is facing him, and then you see his arms out, and you see the camera moving, and this. I was like, I don't know. There was something about that. Again, nitpicks.
I want to say, wasn't there a story that Gunn came out and said they cut that scene from the film?
No, because it's still the exact way
that particular shot, right? That particular shot, I believe, was cut from the film.
But they still kind of used that same technique in part of it. So yes, that particular shot is definitely not in the movie, but the rest of it is still there in the technique they use for it. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, whatever, man. But either way, like I said, that's the movie. Enough about that. And hey, I'm gonna say the thing we always say, and it's like, if someone tells you they didn't like it and it wasn't good or whatever the case may be, go watch it yourself with your own, because you might end up liking it. You know, don't you can't just go by other people's thing because they might have their own biases or whatever. You might like it. You never know, or you might end up agreeing. If you don't agree to them, then you have talking points.
Is this something that you're gonna go see again, or are you gonna wait for streaming?
No, I'm away for streaming.
I'll wait for streaming too, but I probably will watch it again. You know, when it hits streaming.
Yeah. And I would imagine, but well, I was going to know because about to say the way things go on streaming is not taking that much longer because I don't think Lanterns is coming out anytime soon either. And I can't remember what.
I was about to say, do you think HBO Max will change its name back to Max by then?
There's quite possible. Anything's happening in that with those clowns. So, but that being said, I'm like, oh no, I take that back. I take that back because we do know the next DC project that's coming out, and that's Peacemaker, which is coming up next month.
Okay.
Which may or may not address anything from the movie, but supposedly
it will.
Right. So supposedly
it will.
But that being said, anything else after that, you know, so including as to how it ties into that in ways that we know and don't know, you know, because we already know a couple already because of news, but yeah, how things kind of interact with other projects coming down the line, we'll see. All right, folks, we are going to get into the books of the week, which we only have a couple shared between us, but we're going to start off with, and I wish I had done this earlier, but we're going to start off with Transformers number 22.
Alrighty, Transformers number 22 is written by Daniel Warren Johnson, with art by Jorge Corona, colors by Mike Spicer, and letters by Russ Wooton. So we pick up right where we left off from the previous issue, Transformers number 21, where the Autobots are almost always on the run. There's possible reinforcements on the way, where there's a change of plans or inadvertent change of plans with those possible reinforcements, and we finally get kind of a parallel to the original Marvel Comics Transformers run, which is the Autobots finally finding or gating, let's just say, an allyship with the humans because of a common cause, right? It just takes a while. We're 22 issues in, right? Whereas I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this happens in the original limited series, probably within the first 2 or 3 issues.
Oh, that's probably the case, but I was thinking more animated, and which is pretty much all happens almost off the bat.
Right. But I was thinking strictly the comic, in terms of like issue number, sequence of issues. It takes the Autobots here in this iteration 20 plus issues to kind of make friends with, significantly let's just say people who are willing to help fix, as opposed to just the young people who are always, who are like the beneficiaries of their kindness, right? And that's how they win them to their side. They finally are able to find humans to help them here, whether or not it's too late, because we know that they have teased in upcoming solicitations that a lot of things change just before Daniel Warren Johnson leaves the book and Robert Kirkman jumps on the book with issue 25. So the next 2 issues are going to prove to be pivotal when it comes to the Transformers story.
Yeah, indeed. This issue does what other issues have done, in that the thing that Agent 70 just mentioned comes from something referenced in earlier issues of the book that happens to come back in a good way, which, that's good storytelling. It's like, hey, sometimes things kind of end up coming back, sometimes they don't in the bigger two. It's like stuff just gets dropped off and left, but like seemingly small things kind of came back and ended up being something significant in this issue. which is cool. We also got some judgment from Megatron about Prime. We kind of almost got a "you got the touch" type moment, and also kind of also slightly rehashing a Transformers the movie moment in the at the same time. To what extent, I guess we'll find out in the next couple of issues as to where that goes. But let's see, Bruticus and Devastator kind of still doing their rivalry thing, which is continuing to be fun. We do have we're seeing more G.I. Joe representation here, or at least I should say the couple that have been in the book in the last couple of issues. One does a very good thing, which I expected him to do, and wasn't surprised by happening. So whether we see that character again in the pages of G.I. Joe, we'll see. Yeah, this was the thing that Agent 70 mentioned about possible help kind of goes a certain way, and I was like, I guess I should have seen that coming, but didn't think that they were actually going to do it. I guess. So therein lies that. But yeah, good issue. But I guess if I were to have it as a potential Kliq of the week, it would definitely be, because I didn't actually write it down as such. But yeah, continues to be good. And on that, unless Agent 70 has something else he wants to bring up on.
No. You can move on.
Fantastic Four #1.
Fantastic Four #1, our latest reboot of the FF, is written by Ryan North, with pencils by Humberto Ramos, with inks by Victor Olazaba, colors by Edgar Delgado, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So, right off the bat, what we get here is a mild, like a super mild reset of the FF coming off of the previous run, right? Where it's definitely new reader friendly because, it's a #1 issue, but it also involves, at least peripherally, the current happenings in the Marvel Universe, aka One World Under Doom. And, this is, it would seem like, kind of like another ditch, not a last ditch, but another ditch effort by the FF to take on Doctor Doom in all of his One World Under Doomness, and things do not go the way of do not go in favor of the FF, and the FF are left to basically fend for themselves with some pseudoscience and some handy dandy computers that have been installed into their uniforms.
Conveniently.
So, what's that?
Conveniently.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about it, it's no big. It shouldn't be a big surprise that at some point they would do something like this. That Reed would do something like this. I think that, like, spoiler alert, we find out that the team's leadership is a little bit different from what we've always understood it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be some MCUification here. It's not confirmed. We've got a couple weeks to go, but I think that's the case. And listen, it's a fun start. I was disappointed when we got to the to be continued part of the book, but that means it was effective in drawing me in and selling me on the next issue. What do you think, Roddykat?
So about the leadership thing, I think that's been something they've slightly been implying. Granted, Ryan North's been on this book for quite a while, and so he's been the one planting this. It's kind of been there, but not really stated. Like, yeah, this is the first time we've seen it kind of written out as certain.
Right, explicitly, right.
Right, because we've seen like Ben a couple of times calling Sue the boss. So that kind of was like, wait, so is she actually the leader now, or is she just saying that as some sort of affectation or something. I don't know, but regardless, yeah, that definitely signifies a change from what we have believed,
right, or understood.
Right,
So, yeah.
exactly. Because because in the past it's been understood as like, no, Reed's pretty much the leader, and because he's been the ones that come up with the plan and kind of direct people and this and that and the other. But yeah, that has kind of changed in recent history, sort of. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of funny because every time they've gone up against Doom in one world under Doom, it kind of ends up them taking. It's not a full L, but for the sake of where we're at right now, kind of an L, because it's like something. It doesn't come out as a win for them at all, ever.
Nope.
During the course of this, so the fact that they did it, the fact that they did it again, and it ended up, in a similar way, it's like, well, I guess they're either going to learn from it, or obviously they had to do something with them. Because if they had, then it would have been like, well, wait. So what does this mean with Wonderworld Under Doom, of which we're definitely not finished with yet? So you kind of place it in a way to kind of put them in their own story, but have everything else continue to kind of push along, as we will see with actually as we will see similarly with another book that we'll probably talk about. And actually, wait, did you put that book in? Yes, you did, actually. So I'm going to have to add that to the thing. Regardless, yeah, Fantastic. This is not the last time we'll be talking about Fantastic Four this week again, especially being something related to upcoming versions of the first family. Put it that way. And with that, we will get to our last book that we have in common, which is Doctor Strange of Asgard, number 5 of 5.
Doctor Strange of Asgard, number 5 of 5, is written by Derek Landy, with art by Carlos Magno, colors by Espen Grunegern, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So I've been behind on.
Wait. Sorry, I gotta. Sorry. Don't mean to stop you.
What happened?
Well, one, shout out to Von Gloom in the chat.
What's up, Von Gloom?
But also something I was going to mention before we got off of FF that he just mentioned. Yes, Johnny still has the stash. Sorry for the and we warned you that it was probably still going to be there. Yes, North is also still riding this still. So, but good to have you, Von Gloom. And so don't worry about missing the beginning. We just talked about Superman. They're no big deal. But sorry, Agent 70, continue.
So we had gotten to the last part of this limited series. I was a few issues behind, but I caught up, and I found that it's actually pretty. It's a pretty. I don't want to say stereotypical story, but the bad guy was in hiding, but not so in hiding. Mm-hmm. But maybe it was less. Maybe it was more obvious to me because I was reading it all in one shot. But that could be a byproduct of this. But ultimately, one of the things we get out of this is that it ultimately ties into what's happening in both One World Under Doom and what's happening in the pages of the Immortal Thor / Mortal Thor coming up. So I think we'll get an ultimate, not a conclusion, but definitely some resolution maybe to what's been happening here with Doctor Strange in an upcoming anniversary issue, 450th Doctor Strange issue, which is going to come out shortly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Doctor Strange will return, as they would say. So I say in my notes, and I probably said that in probably one of the last couple of other times that I've talked about this, it's always the first person you meet. That's usually the point of almost any mystery. Some mysteries don't do this, but almost any mystery that happens to come up, it's always the first person you meet, especially if it's one that's been on TV. Let's make it a little more specific than that. And in this case,
I was about to say, you make it sound like a Law and Order episode.
Kinda, because that definitely does happen there a lot. So, but also in other places. But yes, definitely, that was spot on. So yeah, so that being said, it wasn't just Agent 70's thinking of, because like he read them back to back, and I kind of been reading them as they've been coming out, and it's like, yeah, that a similar conclusion would have been what has been come to by this point. But also, with another character that pops up, I kind of sort of didn't expect, but kind of did expect, because we knew there was something else going on with a side character that you meet also at, near the beginning, by the way. That there was something more to them than meets than what they've been saying, and sure enough, that comes out here. And yeah, the whole thing that's tying back into Immortal Thor, which I have not read, it was like, oh. But I knew it because of Agent 70 talking about it and reading the news that we knew what was coming up. So it was like, so I guess I should definitely check out and finish reading Immortal Thor to see how that happens, or what happens, or how things happen. So the other thing I can say about this, like, hey, Stevens does a Thor thing, and that part was kind of pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he's still kind of in a holding pattern on One World Under Doom. Whether that's going to come out in an anniversary issue, or more likely if it gets addressed in One World Under Doom properly as to how things are going to resolve, then or at least on this front, now that the things are happening with this character, or put it this way, the goal of this book has been established. Or that was established, has come to bear.
Right.
So we shall see. But what was that?
No, I was just going to mention very quickly. I'm looking at the last page of the book, and definitely some MCUification here, where the place where Sif, the latest guardian of the Rainbow Bridge, whether or not it exists anymore, that's spoiler alert territory. But that's very much out of the Thor movies.
Yep.
The design of it. So
yeah, you're right. Von Gloom asks, is that thing that I'm looking to mention was the same thing from when Loki stole the Social Supreme title from him?
I think so.
Might be. Actually.
I think so.
Yeah, I would have to go back and recheck that, but could possibly be. Yeah. So that being said, though, that is all of the books that we have in common. Let's do a little bit of rapid fire going on.
Right, there's not too with not too many books coming out this week. Rapid fire is going to be short, but here we go.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All right, for me, first up is Marvel Swimsuit Special Friends, Foes, and Rivals #1. It's written by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleeks, with art by Nick Bradshaw, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So this is the this is the creative team for the story, quote unquote, the story behind the swimsuit issue. But there are pinups aplenty decorating basically this issue, or basically splash pages that show off some of our favorite MCU or Marvel Comics heroes in beachwear as relatively, like, let's just say in related pieces of art to where the story goes. So these are pinups that are put in, in relation to, and placed in relation to where these characters sometimes pop up during the story. So that's how that's laid out. It's kind of fun to see Swimsuit Special come back. There's some fourth wall breaking here with regards to the swimsuit issue, period. So, and its relevance in a day and age where a lot of people can get pictures like this on their phones, lickety split, instantaneously in their social media feeds to boot. So, it's kind of fun to see, the creative team take a little, have a little fun at their own expense. And last for me is Uncanny X-Men number 17. It's written by Gail Simone, with art by Luciano Vecchio, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. I have to tell you, I feel that I've been missing the boat a little bit on Uncanny X-Men and Gail Simone's run, because it's taken me a while to really get into the story. But now that I've gotten into it, I'm partially tempted to go back and physically collect this run. We're 17 issues in, and I'm kind of curious about going back and picking up all of the back issues now. I don't know if I'm that enthused or impressed by it, but I'm very much happy with what Gail Simone is doing with this is the Louisiana X-Men and the new students, as it were, that they've drafted into this group. Maybe they've hit a sweet spot because there's 4 new incoming students, and 2 of them are Asian, which is hit me in the soft spot, right? Don't you? But ultimately, I like what they're doing here, what she's doing here with this book. I like the cover on this issue. It's very much reminiscent of a movie poster, and that's what it's that's obviously a plot point here in the book. So I really did dig this month's Uncanny X-Men, and that's it for me.
Yeah, I remember starting. I think I at very least got the starting arc of Uncanny physically, but then I just kind of dropped it. Still reading it, but we'll talk about that in a second, Von Gloom. But actually, no, we'll bring it up right now. So, Von Gloom asked, "Did you give Superman 2 thumbs up, or did you hate it like Blaine and Antoine?" So, as I told him, as I was just finished telling him, I actually pulled that sound bite last week, and that other one, but I didn't put them on my board just yet. So that's
I have right. So what I have is hated it, but I'm not playing it because I didn't hate it.
Right.
Right. So I should get the 2 snaps up. Right.
Yeah. So that being said, you got a little bit of a teaser right there. Go back. You had to go back and watch the beginning to see what we thought about it, because it's not just a yay and no thing that we kind of bounced around. Right. So yeah, just go back and check that out. That being said, though, I'm going to get to my couple of books for this week. Starting off with, and actually I probably don't have this. Yes, I do. Oh no, I don't actually. Shoot. Oh, that's right, because I couldn't pull it. So, excuse me. For me, actually, I'm going to start slightly differently. So, while I try to put something out, Fantastic Four: First Steps number 1. So yes, written by actually Matt Fraction. Hey, guess what? Art by Mark Buckingham, color artist Alex Sinclair, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So, hey, folks, you may have heard there's a movie coming out, and it is called Fantastic Four: First Steps. And guess what? If you were wondering if they were going to do any comic book tie-in or maybe put stuff in there, into, if there was anything from the movie coming back to the comic books, well, no worry no more, because here it is, basically a prequel one-shot. It seemed like a one-shot anyway, of leading into Fantastic Four: First Steps, the movie, because, it's definitely that. You definitely get a familiar, you definitely get a familiar Fantastic Four number 1 story, and I mean going back to the original in a way, from this. and it is of the world that the movie is set in. So this whole movie, the whole trappings of this book, is dealing with that. So you got a Pedro Pascal-esque version of Mr. Fantastic and everybody else in this, because it is that. And even like the stuff, they have like little interviews in here. So, you know, in that, from folks in this world, and even like comic books used to do, and having like little pages where you might have an advertisement or something. That even that is kind of the world. So, like I said, it's kind of that basically, and it's not necessarily, like I said, it's not like the origin of it, because even in that, this I feel like the movie's going to do what the movie's going to do, what we've seen in the trailer, and kind of run through that. But this is definitely, like I said, a prequel set in the world that might be setting up something that we'll probably see in the movie a little bit more, including a certain foundation that may have possibly gotten named during the course of this one shot by an unlikely source. So take that for what it is, folks. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know why it's not letting me do the thing I'm trying to do.
Oh, let's hope the Gremlins are not out tonight.
No, it's not. Oh, wait, I know what it is. There we go. Semicolons don't like semicolons for title, for file names. So anyway, or colons for that matter in this particular case. But anyway, so that is that's Fantastic Four First Steps. Is it necessary? Probably not, but you might want to check it out, you know, just to kind of see what it's doing. If you are so inclined. And the last book for me, which granted is a book that did not come out this week, but a book that has come out that I'm fairly certain we did not talk about when it did come out, but I would be remiss if it didn't, because I love this book. And that book is The Hunger in the Dusk, Book 2, number 4, written by G. Willow Wilson. And also a kind of slight caveat, because I know they said they were going to do something with this book and to kind of collect the next 3 issues in a different way. So what I'm reading right now may or may not be legit, but was out there for us to get. So therefore, actually, excuse me, it wasn't even out there. It was like out there for people to get in a certain ways. So anyway, it's written by G. Willow Wilson, art by Chris Wildgoose, colors by Misasic, excuse me. I don't know how to pronounce that, so apologize. And letters by Simon Boland. Potential click of the week for me. It has been, as someone noted in another place that I was looking for when I was looking up, it's been 6 months since the last book, and this book coming out, which book came out like last month. So you know what, vaguely remember what happened in there, but I kind of remembered enough to know that, oh yeah, things were not going well for a couple of characters, and there was a character looking for another character whose search may have come to an end, leading into leading into a big battle. But first they had to deal with an angry cousin, which went surprisingly well, you know, and both should have listened to this other character for certain. And one man stands alone against a horde until things happen, and leading to the end of the book, which, you know, kind of slightly had me in my feels just a little bit. But like I said, I have been enjoying The Hunger in the Dusk, and I don't know if, like I said, if they're still doing the whole bundle them up as a graphic novel thing, then I guess that'll be what it is. But like I said, it was in a form that seemed to be out there that apparently you could possibly get on Amazon. So technically that still works for me. And with that, folks, that takes care of all of the books that I have. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week. Incoming. I've only got a few books to choose from, So I can give you my candidates pretty quickly.
Sure.
I think that Transformers number 22 is up there.
Same.
I think that Fantastic Four number 1 is up there. And I think that Uncanny X-Men number 17 is a surprise choice for being up there.
Nice.
How about you?
Aforementioned Transformers, definitely. The Hunger in the Dust book 2 is definitely up there for me. Let's see. I think actually that might actually be. Well, I did like Fantastic Four, the number 1. But yeah. Doctor Strange would probably be above that if I was going to do it, but at the same time, you know, the way it ended up was like, yeah, partially not a surprise, but also, oh, I guess I should have read this other stuff. So I guess I'm going to keep it to the 2, even though I enjoyed the other ones that I've mentioned.
Sure. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to swerve and go with FF number 1, because I really liked Uncanny X-Men number 17. I just maybe think I've been a little bit slow to pick up on what Gail Simone is doing with this book. And I feel that Transformers number 22 is leading up to, as we mentioned earlier, kind of the climax of the Daniel Warren Johnson run on the book. So Fantastic Four number 1, I think, is a good choice for Click of the Week for me.
I'm not surprised by that from you, though, honestly, because I know you're a FF fan. I'm not saying that that is the main reason for it, but and yeah, I understand your reasons, because it was a pretty good read, also. But like I said, not too far of a swerve for you, I don't think.
No, not at all. I've chosen, especially in the previous volume, I've chosen FF issues before. So
that being the case, I'm actually going to do something that I don't do that often. But officially, the Click of the Week is actually going to Transformers number 22. That's the official click, and I use that word for a reason, because I'm invoking a seldom used clause, and I'm actually making the Hunger in the Desk book 2 number 4 my Click of the Week as well. We don't do this that often, but it's a seldom used clause for a reason.
Yeah,
and also partially because, like I said, Hunger in the Desk book 2 technically didn't come out this week anyway. So it's actually probably would have been for whenever the book actually came out, which was like sometime last month. That is the asterisk, and that is why I'm using the seldom used clause that is being invoked at this moment. So yeah, good stuff. Von Gloom, Jim Ross is not dead. There we go. Now,
oh no.
By the by. And there's a video I'm probably gonna, if you.
My God.
So that was the reason. That was the other reason why that I brought that up, because there was a speed run for a wrestling game that came up, and somebody had did that pretty much that impression of Jim Ross, and I was like, wait, I meant to look that up to see if he was actually dead, because that got brought up on the show, and turns out he's not actually dead. But yeah, that speed run it was something to see. You gotta go check it out. I know I put it out there on my Blue Sky page, but Von Gloom, if you want to check that out, I'll link it to you. That being said, though, so I don't have too much more editing more to do, we're going to push on to the news of the week. But first, let's get in an ad read.
All right, our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us, that's cspn.us, then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. Now we get into the news.
Cinematic news, and luckily we don't have too terribly much. But hey, guess what, folks? I told you there was going to be some Superman news. James Gunn says Superman is about an quote an immigrant that came from other places, and quote how we lost the value of basic human kindness. Yes, it's about politics. So I shouldn't have to really say much over there. Also, I'm just gonna put this in here so I don't have to put it in later. Hey, guess what? $56.5 million opening day is what Superman made off with. And since we're still in opening box office weekend, you know, I'm sure it's going to do more than that, quite possibly, just out of. You know,
yeah, that's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, so this article basically was like, in his Sunday profile with the Times of London, the DC Studios head went deep on the themes and ideas that drive his highly anticipated Superman. He explained that the superhero epic encompasses the story of America, and at the basic level is about a man searching for a better life away from his original home. Okay. I mean, Superman is the story of America, as Gunn explained, and an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country. But for me, it's mostly a story that says basic human kindness is something that we have lost. That part kind of comes out in that. But also, so I said this is probably an unpopular opinion. Superman, while being alien, not technically an immigrant. Because he was basically shipped here with no... it wasn't like he and the family, he was like shot here because his place was going away. So he didn't, there was no telling whether he was going to get, now, yes, it still stands true. Yes. But also there's part of that's like, he was just shot here and some people found him and took him in and whatnot. That's, that is just me. I'm probably wrong, but it's like, that's, there's a little slant on immigrancy to me on that one. I'm well prepared to be wrong. But that being said,
I respectfully disagree. I think he is an immigrant, but I'm not going to go into the argument for it. So,
but do you see why I said that?
I get what he's going. I get what he's going for.
Right.
So.
But do you see why I said that? And it's not necessarily exactly the same as the way immigrants usually come across here.
Well, at the end of the day, he's also been described as a refugee in the past also, and,
sure, and that's
refugees can also be immigrants as well. So, depending on their circumstance. So, I'm not going to get into this because I don't want to. At the end of the day, argue. I think a point that's already been proven.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, ultimately, I think. I respectfully disagree with your take on it. At the end of the day, I get where Gunn is coming from on this one.
Yeah.
So, next up, in a red carpet interview with Hart at the London premiere of Superman, David Corenswet discussed him asking for advice from Henry Cavill and Tyler Hoechlin, who both played Superman in Man of Steel and Superman and Lois, respectively. Cornswet says, although they were encouraging, they did not want to influence his performance. They both sort of said in their own words that they're not going to try and give him any tips. Not so much, they're not for giving advice on dictating how other people should be.
Sure. Makes sense. Make it your own, man. You can go your own way. I don't know if that's what they were trying to say, but yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. Anyway, And yes, folks, I wholly expected Agent 70 to disagree with me, so don't worry about that. I should probably skip this one, but no, we're not going to do that. Ironheart's creators explains how that highly anticipated villain made their MCU debut in the season 1 finale. I mean, at this point, if you haven't seen Ironheart, you probably didn't care to, or you hadn't gotten around to it, one of the two, one over the other. But you know, a long-standing theory has finally come into play with a certain character, and basically, to kind of paraphrase what I remember before even reading this article, one, the Ryan Coogler and Tanaka Hodge and Angela Barnes were all in doing an interview, and where some of the stuff came out. This and actually the next one, I'm going to take the next one also, since it's also related to that.
Okay.
So yeah, they basically said that you know, they got. It wasn't just them that made the decision to put Sacha Baron Cohen's Mephisto in this, and I'll just say it as that, because I don't really want to go too far into this article. But it is an article that is an interview with them that's been part of another interview video or 2 or 3 that I've seen with them. So there you go. But let's just say that they were not alone in this decision. The part of it kind of came from higher up in making the decision. Part of making the decision. Now, the next article also having to do with Ironheart, also having to do with, well, I guess also having to do with that character in a way. As Marvel, so basically, this article is about a reference that apparently people didn't catch because they probably wouldn't have, and that reference would be the fact that Mephisto was holding shop in a certain pizza place that was that ended up being used in the course of Ironheart show. And the reason why that the pizza place is a reference is because, if I'm not mistaken, Shinaka Hodge basically told the story of a pizza place that she used to go to when she was young, and I believe it might have been, it wasn't the same name of the place, but basically it was like this. Here's the quote. "Thank you for asking about the pizza parlor. My grandmother lived in and around Chicago. When I went to go visit her in the summer, she would take me to the jazz club and then take me to get pizza, either before or after. And so it was a nod to my grandmother, Chloe. And if you look very closely, you can see her picture hanging in Desperitos." So there you go. The pizza place and a picture that was in said pizza place that probably got a little bit of a focal point that you didn't really notice was for a reason. And apparently there's a connection between 9/11 and the Pizza Hut's name. So so Desperitos is the name of the pizza plot because our writing room assistant was Nicole Desperito. Her father was Officer Frank Desperito, who fought bravely in the fires that happened during 9/11 in the towers and did not survive. And so our show is an honor to all the brave firefighters, all the brave warriors. Our villain's lair was named for an absolutely true American hero. And that is another quote from Tanaka Hodge. So there you go. Next up.
Already next up, while speaking to Inverse about her role in Ironheart, Regan Aliyah expressed her hopes that one day Marvel will push ahead with Strange Academy, a Harry Potter-esque series that could take a deep dive into the magic of the MCU. That's pretty cool. I would hope so too.
Yeah, agreed. Because I think there's been rumors that this and Nova were kind of up for the next project, and I think at the time that we last found out that Nova is still going forward and this is still kind of not. But so yeah, hopefully that something comes about it, because I would love to see it. And we also,
there's something that she says here that I wanted to touch upon.
Go for it.
So the reason that Well, no, she says Strange Academy could do something really, really cool and tap a market that people are dying for. The reason that Harry Potter is what it is because it really takes you to a world beyond what you know. So many people wish they could support Harry Potter nowadays. I kind of get that.
Yeah.
Because all of the social media ness of J.K. Rowling is making it very hard for some people. So apparently she is also onto this because she continues and says they're itching for something new that they can be super fans of again. And in her head, Strange Academy could really fill that space. She makes an excellent point.
Yeah, absolutely. She's absolutely right about that. Yeah. So also we found out that she apparently could and or still does have a rap career around her. It sounds like she is working on some new music. But yeah, then the last couple of days we found out that some old videos of TikTok videos of hers have once again surfaced with her spitting some bars. So girls got skills. What can I say? Young ladies got skills. Excuse me. Anyway, Sinners bought a warehouse full of costumes from Marvel Studios. This won't be the last time we talk about Sinners tonight. Also, bought a warehouse full of costumes from Marvel Studios once meant for period Blade movie. So apparently, Ruth Carter, who also worked on the Black Panther movies as costume designer, was working on the Blade movie that ended up not shooting at the time, and that's still open limbo. At one point, the movie was going to deal with, and she talked about this before, but at one point, that film was going to deal with the past around the same era as Sinners. She happened to have a warehouse full of period-appropriate clothes, and was like, "Yo, we gotta shoot this movie like tomorrow," according to Sev Ohanian, which that's not what I'm calling this. Anyway, and Marvel was generous enough and kind enough to let us basically purchase it at a price. And he later clarified that while a lot of background actors, quote unquote, wore the clothes meant for Blade, the movie stars had newly created original costumes. So there you go. Interesting tie. Next up,
Denai Guerrera is reuniting with her Black Panther co-star Michael B. Jordan for the Jordan-fronted reimagining of the Thomas Crown Affair. Jordan is not only starring in the romantic heist thriller, but directing as well as producing with his Outlier Society banner. The company's Elizabeth Raposo is also producing as is veteran producer Charles Roven of Atlas Entertainment. Production actually begins Monday. Is that this coming Monday? Yes, it is this coming Monday. In London, and the project just added Academy Award winner Kenneth Branagh and Academy Award nominee Lily Gladstone to its call sheet. Taylor Russell is also in the cast. I'm going to say this next part because I am unfamiliar with either previous version of the Thomas Crown Affair. The original Thomas Crown, made by United Artists in 1968, starred Steve McQueen and Faye Dunaway and involved a man who organizes bank robberies for sport, but meets his match when he falls for, or maybe not, the insurance investigator hot on his tail. The 1999 remake starred Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo. Okay.
Yep, I remember seeing. I definitely saw the '99 remake. I can't remember if I've seen the original, but I've definitely seen at least one of those. So, but yeah, there you go, folks. Which I was actually going to mention. Yeah, the movie's been remade a couple of different times, so what's one more time, right? Von Gloom said earlier, he never asked Sean Bean. I'm assuming you mean Sean Bean, or so. That's funny. Sad news. Julian McMahon dies. He's from Nip Tuck, but germane to this crowd, he was Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. And he also was on Charmed for folks who knew him from there, and also apparently FBI Most Wanted. So yeah, you've probably seen this dude in something, guaranteed, because he was in he's kind of one of those jokers who's like, yeah, that dude, he put in a turn for acting roles sometimes. So sad to say that he died July 2nd in Clearwater, Florida, after a private battle with cancer. And as we say, fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer.
He was 56 years old. So
he's only 56.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. The quote here: "With an open heart, I wish to share with the world that my beloved husband, Julian McMahon, died peacefully this week after a valiant effort to overcome cancer," McMahon's wife, Kelly McMahon, said in a statement to Deadline. Julian loved life. He loved his family. He loved his friends. He loved his work, and he loved his fans. His deepest wish was to bring joy into as many lives as possible. We ask for support during this time to allow our family to grieve in privacy, and we wish for all of those to whom Julian brought joy to continue to find joy in life. We are grateful for the memories." End quote. Yeah. So, rest in peace to that man's, and condolences to his family. So, next up.
I Am Immortal, a big screen reboot starring Henry Cavill as its titular immortal, right? So this is Highlander, will be John Wick director Chad Stahelski's next film, but that's not the only job he's taken on. Lionsgate has also tasked him with overseeing both the John Wick franchise and the new Highlander franchise he's launching. Okay.
Which only tells me, wait, they didn't do that before now? Because we know of a few projects that have come and already come, or are still to come, potentially from one of those franchises. So,
Right. So yeah, we're going to find out pretty soon more about the Highlander reboot.
Mm-hmm. There can be only one, but there's been plenty. Next up, though, Red Sonja movie battling its way to San Diego Comic-Con 2025. So apparently there's going to be, a new exclusive signing for the upcoming film has been added to Comic-Con exclusive portal, taking place Thursday, July 24th from 10:45 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Pacific, of course. The signing will feature the stars Matilda Lutz, Robert Sheehan, and Martin Ford. The upcoming film, released later this year from Samuel Goldwyn Films, and is based on the Sword and Sorcery character co-created by writer Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith for Marvel Comics in 1973. That's a great year. And originally created by why did it say that twice? By Robert E. Howard. Yeah, that's a typo. Y'all know who Red Sonja is, and if you don't, hey, I don't know what to tell you on that. She's basically Conan with red hair. That's really an oversimplification of the character, but let's face it. There you go, folks. That's the thing. Next up, after he leaves Oz, wicked filmmaker John M. Chu is putting the pedal to the metal. He is set to direct a live-action Hot Wheels Leading the Way movie for Warner Brothers. Based on the Mattel toy, the high-octane action film will showcase some of the world's hottest and sleekest vehicles, according to a press release. Plot details have not been revealed. There's going to be a plot? But ever since Barbie captured the zeitgeist and grossed a mammoth $1.44 billion, Mattel has been mining all kinds of children's toys for the big screen. Film versions of Barney, Polly Pocket, the card game Uno, and Rock'em Sock'em Robots are currently in the works. Plot? What's a plot? Goodness gracious. What the hell are they going to do for an Uno movie? I mean, any of these, well, at least some of these you can kind of, you got something on. But Uno?
The things that make you say,
like, Rock'em Sock'em Robots already had one. It's called Real Steel. And that movie already happened.
Unbelievable.
Starring Wolverine. You might have seen it. Or you might not have. I don't know. But Uno? Lord. Anyway, too much about that. You know, they're just throwing anything at the wall these days. Thanks, Barbie. Next up, though, also some sad news. Why am I getting sad news? James Carter Cathcart. The voice of Pokemon's is James, Meowth, Professor Oak, and of course Maximilian Pegasus and more, has passed away at the age of 71. It's once again, as you're going to hear me say, fuck cancer, because Cathcart died on Tuesday. This is from a couple of days ago, but died on Tuesday following a battle with throat cancer, which he was diagnosed with in 2023. Cathcart retired from acting that same year. So, yeah. Once again, he was also Weevil Underwood and wait. Was he not Pegasus? I thought he was Pegasus because this is the same dude that's played James. But it says here Weevil Underwood, but I think he was also Pegasus. Either way, rest in peace. Condolences to the family. All of that good stuff.
All of that stuff.
Yeah. James and Pegasus, both two favorite characters of mine that dude did. So next up, and Meowth, of course.
All right, we're in Anime Corner now.
Yes, sir.
100%
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Steel Ball Run fans get anime release update in an official new reveal. Fans of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure got the update they've been waiting for. Let's see, as seen during the recent JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Meets Anime Expo 2025 special panel at Anime Expo 2025. Let's see, a new update for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Steel Ball Run was unveiled. An illustration by Steel Ball Run, that is. Steel Ball Run. Character designer and chief animation director Daisuke Sumagari was revealed for the first time alongside a core staff list for the series. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it was announced that a global live stream for the Steel Ball Run series will air on September 23rd, 2025, with brand new information promised about the anime on that date.
And I'm assuming by these pictures, and I don't know. Yep, still follows. Still sounds like still follows Jolene from the last iteration. Okay, cool. More JoJo's. I need to. There's a couple of JoJo clips I need to pull for sound bites. Full Metal Alchemist creators Daemons of the Shadow Realm reveals new anime. So yeah, people were kind of fired up on this. Not fired up, but hyped, I should say, for this news. So in a new press release, Crunchyroll shared the news that both Daemons of the Shadow Realm receiving an anime adaptation, anime adaptation, and that Studio Bones will be helming the project. Masahiko Minami, president of the prestige anime studio Bones Film, known for their work on Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, My Hero Academia, and Eureka 7, arrived on stage to officially confirm Daemons of the Shadow Realm will be produced into an anime. So based off the manga of the same name, created by Hiromu Arakawa of Full Metal Alchemist. The anime will be directed by Masahiro Ando, Sword of the Stranger, which was revealed in a new teaser trailer shown during the panel, and described the series as, quote, an otherworldly fantasy where mystery and the uncanny intertwine. And you can watch the teaser trailer on this article in the show notes. Next up.
Until mid-August, Gundam fans can now snag exclusive franchise merchandise by eating at select KFC locations in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
So, hungry Gundam fans in Hong Kong can grab numerous pieces of exclusive Gundam merchandise, assuming they can make it to one of the specific KFC restaurants that are getting in on the promotion. Each piece of merchandise is based on Gundam Wing Endless Waltz, and will become available by ordering specific menu items that bear the series' 30th anniversary logo. Have fun with that, collectors.
Indeed. I'm sure some of the stuff will be out on eBay at some point. If you're watching the video version, you can see me kind of scrolling through some of the pictures of some of the merch. Bucket of KFC not included, obviously.
Right.
Maybe it is. Who knows? Whatever. But neat stuff. Also, that Gundam card game is coming out. Will actually be out by the time San Diego Comic-Con. And actually, I think might have talked about it last week. But yeah, by the time San Diego Comic-Con comes out. So I may be asking for a favor come that time. But we shall see. Doctor Who will keep the 15th Doctor alive with new comics. So, yeah. See, the upcoming Prisoner of Paradise miniseries comes courtesy of returning Doctor Who writers Dan Waters and artist Sammy Cavella from Abbott. I believe Agent 70 was reading that book. Waters previously wrote the 2024 miniseries starring the 15th Doctor, and this is new tale. He's putting 15 and Belinda Chandra on an unlikely team of allies. Belinda Chandra also being the young lady from Andor, whose name is escaping me right at this moment, but it's okay. Look to infiltrate an alien prison holding monsters and villains from across the cosmos. It's 15's latest miniseries to be announced following editor Jonathan Weeks teased Paradox as something's wrong with that sentence, or me, most ambitious yet, according to this quote. So yeah, there you go. And more Doctor Who books and media. There you go. It is going to be a 4-issue and will run later this year, but no exact date. Next up,
just a quick FYI, Roddykat's audio seems to be dropping in and out again this week. 30 years after Age of Apocalypse, the entire X-Men franchise is again going to start to relaunch with 16 new comics that will take mutant kind into an alt reality for the foreseeable future. So, the X-Men line's only been around for a year since it's relaunched from the fall of Krakoa. Now we're getting the entire line moving into an alt reality just like it did 30 years ago. Oh my God. 30 years ago? Seriously? 30 years ago?
I'm getting too old for this shit.
In the classic story, X-Men, Age of Apocalypse. So, in the original 1995 Age of Apocalypse, the X-Men were rebooted in a reality ruled by the eponymous villain, and the entire line was temporarily suspended and replaced by new titles that completely rewrote the stories of the classic X-Men, even swapping the allegiances of some heroes. This new event, titled Age of Revelation, and we talked about this last week a little bit, and the week before. Now that the solicitations are out, the articles are going to come fast and furious. This new event, titled Age of Revelation, puts Doug Ramsey in the role of the tyrannical villain. Following Doug being named as the so-called heir of Apocalypse, he's taken up the name Revelation and upgraded his ability to translate any language or form of communication to the point where he's now able to speak to the Earth itself, and the Earth will obey his commands. The entire thing kicks off on July 16th, next week, folks, with a one-shot titled X-Men Age of Revelation #0 by X-Men series writer Jed MacKay and artist Humberto Ramos, with a cover by Ryan Stegman, McKay's creative partner on the core X-Men title. This sets the stage for the transformation. Here it comes. It's upcoming, guys. So in October, we're going to have another one-shot titled X-Men Age of Revelation Overture #1. After that, the entire X-Men line will relaunch with no less than 16 new titles, which jump ahead 10 years into an alt future ruled by Doug Ramsey / Revelation. Here's the list of titles. No creative teams just yet. We have, goodness gracious. I gotta clear my throat. Let me clear my throat. Wait, where I got a sound effect for this one. Hold on. Hold up. Do I have it? Do I have a Let Me Clear My Throat?
God damn.
Seriously, I thought I had one. Let Me Clear My Throat. I mean, I might just be misremembering, because I have Hold Up, Wait a Minute, but it's okay. Anyway, here the list of titles: Amazing X-Men, Unbreakable X-Men, Expatriate X-Men, The Last Wolverine, Binary, Cloak or Dagger, Iron and Frost, Laura Kinney Sabretooth, Long Shots, Omega Kids, Radioactive Spider-Man, Rogue Storm, Sinisters 6, Undeadpool, X-Vengers, and X-Men The Book of Revelation, as I mentioned earlier.
So probably
Goodness
would be
gracious.
Probably, I would assume that's the Omega of this whole thing. Or not, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find out more next week with the Age of Revelation #0 coming in on July 16th. Wow.
So Doug should should holler at Bucky, so then they could be the Revelation and the Revolution.
I was about to say, I think Bucky stopped going by the Revolution.
Yeah,
Because of the Thunderbolts.
I guess. I mean, because that one story did kind of suggest that was the case, but still, he had it at one point.
I know, because they retconned that stuff mad quick.
Yeah, basically.
They were like, "Whoa, he's in the movies. We got to retcon that MCU-fication style."
Yeah. So, we're back to another age, folks, and this time we'll be talking about it because we did not talk about it that first time. So hold on to your butts.
Radioactive Spider-Man. Anyway.
Indeed. Anyway, man, that's gonna be a lot. Hopefully we'll get a checklist sometime soon so we can know what to focus on. Anyway, Spider-Gwen's new comic introduces her own personal symbiote villain. Oh no, Tantrum. Tantrum is the embodiment of everything Gwen was trying to leave behind, according to this quote in this article from this interview from writer Stephanie Phillips, who discusses all new Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, this Ghost Spider. So, excuse me. So, I think Agent 70 mentioned the fact that this is going to be a thing when he talked about the last Spider-Gwen story.
Yeah, the last issue in the previous volume.
Mm-hmm. Or at least hinted towards, anyway. So, yeah. So, apparently, let's see, this article has a solicit from All New Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider #3, which apparently is going to be the intro to Tantrum. If you're watching the video version, you can see said cover with an homage to McFarlane on it. So, yeah. There you go. And of course, the rest of the article is, like I said, an interview with Stephanie Phillips about the book and other such things, along with some unlettered pages. So there you go, folks. Have at it. Next up, we get into Toy Corner.
Alrighty, Marvel Legends series Fantastic Four retro card back She-Hulk. We've got some in-hand images here in this article. So this is the John Byrne FF run She-Hulk, with She-Hulk in her FF uniform with an alternate head and dumbbells, which is a cool accessory here. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You can click through the images here, I think, or not. I guess not.
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have not pre-ordered this. This should be available moving forward. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
I guess you could also take this as the 90s animated version of She-Hulk as well, because I'm pretty sure she was also she rolled up in there at some point. I could be wrong, maybe not. I don't know. Either way,
I don't recall. I was about to say I don't recall, but listen, This is a pretty key part of the FF run when Ben Grimm was on Battle World still. So, post Secret Wars. So we definitely have like a big chunk of the FF history with Jennifer Walters as the muscle of the Fantastic Four.
Right. And fortunately, we have a not sponsor in the Disney Plus, which has said series that I mentioned to actually find that out about with. So yeah, anyway. Iron Man 1/6 scale Mark III stealth version collectible figure. You can see said figure, and if you're watching the video version, it is from Hot Toys, so it's going to be a bit pricey. According to this, it says expertly crafted from die-cast material. This Mark III figure features a stunning two-tone metallic blue chrome color scheme and armor with glossy reflective finish that not only highlights the tactical coolness of the stealth mode design, but also makes it a standout piece in any Hall of Armor's display. This is not an action figure, this is a statue. I can't stress that enough. Let's see. I don't believe there is a price for this thing just yet, but you can see it looks good. Not surprising. No, like I said, if you're watching the video version, you can see me flip through some of these images, of which there are a couple. Blam, 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 blam. Let's see. Equipped with LED lights in various places. So yeah, this is gonna be a little pricey, pricier than normal from Hot Toys. So there you go. And also it says here that it's an exclusive figure that is available with a limited quantity of 2,500 units exclusively in selected markets. Or if you're going to New York Kansas San Diego Comic Con, it might be there if it's out that early. Who knows? Next up, though.
I can't believe this is here. Do you want this story?
I mean, I'll take it.
Or do you want me to just read it?
No, go for it. I've had my moment with it.
Lego's got a first buildable Decepticon transformer, and it's a talking Soundwave. So following buildable versions of Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, Lego's latest collab with Hasbro is also its first Decepticon. The 1,505-piece Soundwave stands just shy of 13 inches tall and is Lego's first Transformer set to include a sound brick. So this is going to cost you $189.99. It's good. That's Lego's most expensive Transformer set to date. Let's see here. Soundwave converts from robot mode to cassette player mode without requiring any disassembly. It's also fully posable in bot mode thanks to articulated joints and includes accessories like a rocket pod and laser blaster that transform into batteries, similar to what was included with Hasbro's original Soundwave figure in the 1980s. There are two features that set this Lego model apart from its other Transformer sets. The first is the inclusion of an electronic sound brick that, quote, activates specially recorded voice and sound effects. In the 80s cartoon, we all recognize Soundwave's distinct monotone synthesized voice performed by Frank Welker. Let's see here. The sound brick includes snippets of the cartoon's music and the character speaking, but it's not Welker, but it's still fun that Lego has gone the extra mile to recreate this character's most memorable feature. The other thing that makes this set unique is that it actually includes 3 Transformers. In addition to Soundwave, you get buildable versions of Ravage and Laserbeak that transform into cassette tapes that fit inside Soundwave's chest compartment. Roddykat spending money.
So to actually answer the questions you asked real quick, I'm torn because this sounds cool. I'm not into Legos like that. So that part, and there's a Lego set I got behind me actually, and it's a very small set that I haven't put together. So the chance of this being got is 40th, 50th percent at this point at this point in time. But I'm trying not to see. I already got a Soundwave, an actual Soundwave. So I don't actually. I got two now that I think about it. But tempting. But it's a Lego. That's what's killing it for me. But anyway,
I still haven't pulled the trigger on that missing link Optimus.
Okay.
I thought about it though.
Right.
Alrighty, next up.
But also,
new Lego. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna say real quick though. Yeah, I think you mentioned this, but that they did have an Optimus Prime, and apparently, it's funny that the Soundwave is slightly more expensive than the Prime. And,
Right, because of the audio brick, probably.
Right, probably, and and of course the Bumblebee, which is $90. But yeah. Anyway, next up.
So speaking of affordability, the new Lego Star Wars ATST is the most affordable Ultimate Collector Series model. This is a 1,513 piece ATST Walker UCS building set. It releases August 1 and is available to pre-order for $200. That's the most affordable one you can get at Amazon.
Yeah. You see how, and I love how Angel 70 took the Lego block in this one. I appreciate it. No pun intended. But yeah, $200. That's
Hot damn.
I feel like Gonki would be kind of appreciative of this, because of the whole Death Star thing in the movie. But yeah. Anyway, next up. Speaking of Star Wars, relive the Battle of Hoth from Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back in a new miniatures board game by Days of Wonder. So let's see, and of course the aforementioned board game is the name of the battle, which is Star Wars: The Battle of Hoth. It's going to go on sale August 29th. Let's see. Not surprisingly, the players will assume command of either the Imperial or Rebel forces and battle it out on the ground for control of the planet of Hoth. Players will play cards, roll custom dice, and strategically move across the game board in an effort to outmaneuver their opponent's forces. The game will be, it looks like it plays in 30 minutes, or probably more, depending on who you're playing with, or less, depending on who you're playing with. And it will retail for $59.99, aka $60. So there you go. Next up.
All right, on this website, we've got official images for the 5th wave of the Simpsons 2.5-inch figures. This wave includes Daredevil Bart, Mr. Burns, Kearney. I'm like, that's that guy's name? Kearney, one of the bully kids?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Carl and Pat. I'm like, who? Like where's whatchamacallit? Where's Korath when I need him?
Who?
But yeah, everyone else I have recognized, so that's cool.
Shout out to the fact that they killed off Marge recently, quote unquote, killed off Marge recently in the show, but it was a future thing, so it probably doesn't matter. So that's why she's not here, as opposed to her sister.
No, that was probably the first wave. This is the next wave.
Maybe, we would hope. Daredevil Bart, nice. Anywho's, last but not least, there's not much to this, folks. If you are interested in checking out DC Universe Infinite, there's a code you can use. Not surprising, that is in line with the recent what in the world? Oh, okay. Look up, all one word. Not surprising. So, and that'll get you, and that's off the monthly plan, by the way.
Oh, it's 52% off your first month. Automatic renewal at the then current monthly rate. Oh, goodness.
Right.
So you only get half off for the first month.
Right. That's why I said it's not much, but just in case somebody wanted to, plunk down on it and kill it for the next month, and cancel it outright, right after you do that, so you can just get that month in. Sure. Now, it says new or returning U.S. subscribers. I tried this, and it didn't work for me, so mileage may vary. But yeah, you can try it, see if it happens, see if it works out for you. Anyway, folks, that is it for the news section. Again, not a sponsor also, and if they would sponsor us, they would give us, I would hope they would give us better than that. But let's get our last ad read in, please.
Our last ad read of the night, help keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Remember, if you shop at Amazon often, bookmark the link or add it as your homepage so that you can help the CSPN each time you order. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
Alrighty, folks. There we go. That was the wrong transition, but that's okay. All right, folks, that's it. That is it for this week's show. We will be back in a few days to give you another show back on our regular time and schedule. Guess what? Who'd have thunk?
Yes. Yes, just a quick heads up. The last couple of shows for the month of July may be on a bit of a wonky schedule. Just giving you a heads up now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week, though, in full, as we have short things up a little bit more, hopefully. But I have been your friendly neighborhood Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at NewsNightsNeedy on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. You can also find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, that's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indeed. And you could also find us recording every Thursday night, mostly every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, leave us all the positive 5-star reviews. Hit that notification button, smash it, so you know when we're on live and direct.
Yeah, indeed. And yes, later days and many happy returns to you, Von Gloom. Appreciate you, as always, for being around.
Yes,
sir.
we appreciate you.
And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
My time is up. Peace out to Brooklyn.